Welcome to r/RedditRevenge. This is a story of someone getting back at someone with revenge after being wronged. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story: someone steals money from college by using my name and throwing me under the bus, gets caught and humiliated. The second story: dude kept using my mug after I left hints not to, rimmed it with stinging oil and left it as a trap. The third story: hotel worker catches owner embezzling from corporate. And the first story is: want to use my name to steal and unknowingly make me the fall guy? Some people think that you're allowed to have only one negative experience in life. To those, I say, life is all just a combination of smaller stories within one big story that we live in. In that big story, as you're the narrator of your own story, you will be the hero of your story, even if in reality you may be the villain in someone else's story. And of 100% of those smaller stories, many will be a negative one. Preface: going back to my college days, I was an executive member of a club. So whenever we had a large event that incurred some expenses, we can request the Student Government Association, SGA, to cover those expenses, and they will directly oversee and finance it if it is for a positive cause. For those that does not know, our club was among 56 plus other mini clubs in the college, and SGA is the main student government body, elected by all students. SGA gets a yearly budget allocated to spend for the student wellness or entertainment-related activities. The rule was after you provided all the proof, if the cost was $10, the check for that $10 won't be written to one person in the club. It'll be written to all 4 executives of the club, $250 per person. So no one person can steal from that. In SGA, the treasurer, let's call him SGAT, was not exactly a friend, but was friendly and known to some of us. Come to think of it, almost all the members of SGA was known or otherwise friendly to us. After all, we had to work together. Main story: so it was summer of 2007. Just finished spring 2000 semester, and with it, our club held the biggest cultural event of the year in our college. It did cost some good amount, and of course, SGA agreed to oversee the finance. At that time, I was going through some personal problem, and angrily kinda ran away from my house. Stayed with a friend for that duration, for a few days despite not having my personal finances sorted. After the end of the show, SGA have mailed out the checks to 3 other club executives for the cost of the show. But I did not get one, the 1 quarter that I was responsible for. At first I thought since I'm not at the address that they have mailed it out to, maybe they sent it and I'm not there to accept it. A few days later, another executive of the club calls me and calls other executives and members to a meeting. We meet there and this guy says, "I've got a news. The 4th check that you're responsible for has been accepted and cashed." I was in shock. Now, my friends were thinking that since I'm having financial difficulties and ran away from my house, I must have cashed the check and not admitting it. They're essentially accusing me of stealing. Looking back, if it was someone else in my shoes, I would have done the same. Then right away, I go to college SGA office to get to the bottom of it. They produces a copy of the check and other paperworks, and it shows it was not mailed, but instead it was picked up from SGAT. SGAT made an exception, and instead of mailing, let the person pick it up. The paperwork shows that it contains my name as the person who picked it up, but the signature suggests some other name. You have to print your name and then sign it. Then the copy of the cashed check was produced from the bank. It shows some other name and I knew who it was. I call all of the club executives and members for another off-site meeting and have someone else call the SGAT there under a different pretense. Armed with all the proof, I go there to meet the SGAT, and he was surprised to see all of us. I just had to make it extremely dramatic, as only 2 other people, of about 10, met us there. Knew what I had in the paperwork. Me: "Hey SGAT, I'm supposed to get the check for that 1 quarter of the total expenses. Do you know anything?" SGAT: "I do not recall now, but I'm sure it was mailed out to you, as it was my last business process for the year." Me: "Are you sure? Because I did not get it." SGAT: "Hold on, let me call the office." He calls, finishes his query. "Yep, the check was cashed and it shows that you picked it up. So what's going on?" Another member, looking confused, and tells me, "Then where's the money? You said you did not get it. Did someone steal it?" Me: "That's what we're here to find out." Now I produce all the paperwork and point to the SGAT. Me: "Is this a real copy of proof of the check acceptance from your office?" SGAT: "Yes, it is, and it shows that you've accepted the check." Me: "So is this your signature that shows that I accepted the check from you?" SGAT: "Yes." Me: "But you said you mailed it." SGAT: "I do not remember every tidbits now." Me: "Okay, so this signature on the check acceptance form, does it says my name?" The acceptance signature was distinct enough to make out the person's name. SGAT is quiet. Everyone says no. Me. Hold on, that's nothing. Here's the proof of the cashed copy of the check. Whose name is this? And whose signature is this? SGAT gets up by this time and attempts to punch me. Tells me, are you calling me a thief? Me and few others get up and say to SGAT, sit your A down and do not try to even touch me. You know I'll waste you. He knows I'm well versed in self-defense, since I told him previously on an unrelated prior conversation. Why I thought this line mattered in my head was he was 6'2", 185 pounds. I'm 5'8" and was less than 150 pounds. Tell me what's the name here. Other executives and members that initially accused me says, the name here clearly says SGAT's wife. Me. Boom. I rest my case here. SGAT is in full denial and still attempts to shift the blame on me. But at this point, our other executives have decided that I was of course not the bad person here, and since the SGAT was in the country on student visa, if we go to the cops he will get deported. And so SGAT agrees to pay us up the next day, as long as we do not call the cops, completely defeated and humiliated. He did refund us the money, and I did end up making unofficial complaints to SGA. They make him resign, and since there was no official complaint, they could not prosecute him. But after that he lost all of his credibilities, and always looked like a dirty little rat to us. Just spoke to a mutual friend, and he said SGAT changed college after that, but mutual friend thinks our college may have booted him or something. The second story is, use my mug and you'll get burned. I worked for a major regional airline as an aircraft maintenance engineer in their heavy maintenance base. Being located in a regional center, we had a relatively tight-knit workforce. We were all a big family. But as families go, there were some personalities that just did not get along. Others that just did stupid stuff without thinking. In the break room above the sink, there was a board with hooks on it for us to hang mugs if we had them. I decided to bring in a mug from home. Just your standard plain blue colored mug. I would hang it on the same hook every time as others had done with their own personal mugs. A couple of years passed and the company purchased some mugs and glassware for the break room and meeting room. Management asked us not to leave any cups or mugs in the sink, or any of the benches. Coincidentally, the mugs they bought were the very same type and color as my mug, so I thought the safest thing to do was write my name on my mug, so it would not get confused by the cleaners as one of the companies. I took a black marker and wrote my name on the bottom. Not long after this, on one particular day, I went in for smoko and went to get my mug for some tea, only to find it missing from the hook. After a brief search, I found it out in the hanger on a bench. I took it back, cleaned it up, and thought not much more of it. A few days later, it happened again. This time, it was left in the sink. Whatever. Wash, use, put it back on the hooks like always. This pattern of my specific mug being used by someone and left in random places, this had to stop. I tried writing my name in big letters on the outside of the mug. It still would go walkabout. I would leave a post-it note in the mug saying not to use it. I would find it sitting in the sink half full of cold coffee. I got the label maker and made a large day-glow orange sticker with my name on it with biohazard symbols as a bit of a joke. This time it completely disappeared. This was frustrating for me and amusing to my shift crew. I had just about enough and decided to end this game of cat and mug. Anyone who works in aviation maintenance knows that most large aircraft use a hydraulic fluid called Skydrol. To explain, this synthetic oil supposedly is safe to use and handle, but in reality is not nice stuff. If you were to get some on your hands, you would experience a slight warming sensation leading to a mild sting. Any cuts or breaks in the skin of your hands or fingers would almost instantly sting with contact with this fluid. Softer skin, armpits or genitalia if you were unlucky, was even more sensitive. If you got this stuff in your eyes, it was an agony that simply water would take minutes to abate. With this being said, the MSDS listed no toxicity or adverse effects short or long term. Minor discomfort with skin contact was the only detrimental effect listed. After consulting the MSDS to confirm this fluid was non-toxic, I decided to bring in another mug from home and leave it on my hook as usual, but this time with a little surprise smeared strategically around the rim. The trap was set. Sure enough, the next day I came into work to find my mug missing again. No one owned up. It was a bit of an anticlimax, but mug number 3 did not go missing again. A few months went by, and we were having some beers with the other shift crews. I was chatting with this bloke who was known for being extremely laid back, but also for having multiple used mugs on his toolbox. I told him about the problem I was having with my mug going missing all the time, and he told me that someone must have spiked a mug on him for no reason. I asked what it was. He said he wanted a cup of coffee and took a mug out of the break room. After a few sips, he wondered what the weird taste was that quickly led to his lips feeling like they were on fire. He said he dropped the mug in his haste to get to the bathroom to try and wash his face. Washing with water simply spread the burning sensation further around his face. He said that he never took another mug from the break room again. I told him it was me and we both had a laugh. He took it like a champ and never borrowed anyone's mug ever again. The last story is, call me a thief, I'll expose your embezzled funds to Corp. I work in hospitality, specifically hotels. I've worked front desk and night audit. Simplified, I'm a front desk agent, trained to do basic daily audits of credit cards, food and beverage revenue, etc. Entry-level accountant in a nutshell. I worked for a rundown economy hotel on the poor side of downtown. I'd only been in hospitality for about 2.5 years. Most upscale hotels, my current property is such, require 4 to 5 years of experience. I made a decision to specialize, seek out night audit jobs as it provides more opportunities. The hotel in question was run by 2 men, the owner of the property and the front office manager, both of whom lived on site. The hotel was constantly understaffed. The schedule was erratic at best. They pushed taking cash reservations. 99% of these types of reservations are hooker, pimps, dealers, and junkies from the area. Major red flag already, so I started monitoring the numbers from the audit and the numbers being sent out to our corp accountant. It was minor discrepancies that took me a while to find. They ran cash-only monthly parking for the government employees next door. They demanded to be called when the gov people came in. They would stand behind us and have us put the money in a lockbox they had the keys to. Another red flag. Over the 4 months I was there, I amassed a large file that I kept stored on a thumb drive. My managers allowed us to watch movies on the computer at night, since the hotel never sold more than 40% of the room on any night, including holidays. I made a mistake that happens to countless front desk agents. I deposited a person's cash deposit into the safe and forgot to mention it. The SH part was the hooker, guest, actually checked out the next day, and they didn't have the deposit. The first response from the managers? To call me and fire me for being a thief. I was asleep all of 3 hours, so I was pretty disoriented, but I made my way back to work to see WTF was going on. I get there and instantly remember that I messed up. I explained what happened, but the managers refused to believe me. They ordered me to hand over my bag, wallet, cell phone, and to wait for the police. My coworker opens the safe from the manager's keys and pulls out the deposit and hands the girl her money back. The managers just tell me to show up tonight and leave. I knew that moment that I wanted them nailed to the wall, and painfully. So I searched the company email directory for my chain and found the chairwoman and VP of accounting and emailed them every single file I had, all in PDF, side-by-side images of every invoice they doctored. I mentioned everything I could and that the theft incident. I ran the audit, waited for the next shift, and left a note that I quit effective 7 a.m. that day. I called up my friend from the desk a few weeks later, and he explained an entire audit accounting team had come to the hotel. They were appalled by the conditions of the hotel. They didn't even stay in the rooms provided for free. They audited the GM and owner and FOM, front office manager, and found they had embezzled over $60,000 in just the invoices alone, not counting the cash parking. They had the brand name revoked, charged with embezzlement, which they later settled out of court. They now run an independent hotel that has even worse reviews than when they were a brand name hotel. I hope you love these stories. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to know when the new videos come out.